Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is Tuesday, March 3rd, and we have a lot to cover today on the SJ Show. Of course, we're broadcasting live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV. We are live on Facebook, live on Substack, live on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening via podcast at your leisure, it is great to be with all of you today. Make sure that you give the SJ Show a thumbs up, a 5 stars, a comment, join the chats. This is how we grow the algorithm. Thank you to Inez Annie Cyrus, who is producing the SJ Show today. She's absolutely amazing and will be keeping an eye on all of the chats. So if you have something to say, you need to get it off your chest, you have a question or a comment, pop it up in those chats. Annie is keeping an eye on all of that. You see the headline today for today's show. MAGA and MAHA coalitions are fracturing under the weight of massive betrayals from Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. We're going to be joined by the Sasha Latypova in just about 20 minutes right here live on the SJ Show to go over a recent piece landing in the New York Times featuring good friends of the SJ Show, people like Sasha Latypova, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, quoted in this New York Times piece, Jeffrey Tucker and Toby Rogers, among others, people who were very prominent in the medical freedom movement, who raged against the lockdowns of 2020 and the rollout of the poison shots. They are now coming together saying that, well, Trump isn't cutting it. In the headline here, as Kennedy turns from vaccines, MAHA allies see a betrayal. As the midterm election approaches, the health secretary is focusing on real food instead of vaccine injury and death, instead of a COVID reckoning, instead of giving the COVID vaccine injured the help and the research and the support that they need. They are completely abandoning the movement. It's a devastating piece. We're going to talk about that with Sasha Latypova in just a moment. Also, Sasha and I will be traveling to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam in just a little under a week. A show note for next week, we will be off from the original show on Monday and Tuesday because I will be covering a big trial, big case in the Netherlands on behalf of 8, one perished, but 8 COVID-19 vaccine injured who are suing Dutch officials, Bill Gates, and the CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, for damages. It's a very important case, and Sasha and I will be in Amsterdam with about 24 other medical freedom reporters from across the globe, and we're going to be bringing that to you, probably walk and talks, a less produced show, but we will be pushing out content on Monday and Tuesday. So keep an eye on the SJ Rumble account and all of our platforms. Make sure that you sign up right now for the SJ newsletter every single day. Go to theshannonjoy.com. That is theshannonjoy.com, and sign up for that SJ newsletter. It goes out whenever I'm live, and that way you'll be alerted. It's going to be a weird schedule on Monday and Tuesday, but we're going to be bringing you a lot of information there. There's a major press conference, and hopefully we're going to see testimony from Sasha Latypova, Catherine Austin Fitz, Michael Yeadon, among others. Dr. Joe Sansone is also traveling as well. So I'm really, really honored to be working with such an amazing team. We are going for justice. It doesn't matter what Bobby Kennedy does or MAHA, the coalition, Jay Bhattacharya, Donald Trump. They might want to move on from COVID. We are not going to do that. We're going for justice, and we will continue to go for justice until we can establish the truth about what happened in the dark days of 2020, and we can get help for those who have been horrifyingly injured by the COVID shots. Those bioweapons, by the way, still being deployed and promoted by Donald Trump. the murderous dictator in chief here in the United States of America, he needs to be exposed as well. So you all realize Donald Trump promised an end to endless wars, while Bobby Kennedy promised a COVID reckoning and justice for the COVID vaccine injured. Neither has delivered, and in fact are pursuing the opposite of what they had pledged, sparking fury from base supporters. Now, these recent actions in Iran are a complete betrayal of his base by Donald Trump. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I do want to talk to all of you on the live chat. Of course, the Rumble live chatters, the feistiest, smartest, most helpful chatters in all of the chat rooms. Mark the Regan is the very first to comment on the live chat today. First in the chat, but only third to hit the like button. Make sure you're hitting those like buttons and giving the thumbs up. I see you, Marge Parker from Substack. Love your hair today. Watch out what you say on Facebook and Meta and YouTube. They love censoring. We've been censored a bit on the YouTube and not much on the Facebook, but you never know when they're going to pull that rug out from underneath you. This is why I encourage all of you to make sure that you are signing up for my e-newsletter so that I have your email account. This is how we stay connected in case of deplatforming or censoring, which I think is coming, and I think it's going to come quickly. Everything is accelerating in the US and across the globe today as we move into what the controllers and the planners would like to be the Great Reset, the new 21st century global order, which is kind of a murky, disastrous, horrifying combination of Zionism and the technocracy. And it is this kind of uber global technate, this order. They want to own everything. We have nothing. And they control the masses, the 8 billion or so of us on the planet, through a massive infrastructure of digital surveillance and control. And I have two pieces today that are linked in the show notes of the SJ show. The Dre dossier. She had a phenomenal 20-minute expose yesterday, the merger that needed a war. And this is an overview of Larry Ellison and Oracle just yesterday snagged a sweetheart deal in the fog of war. This is a major, major deal. And it centers around a merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers. And it's not so much the consolidation of the entertainment industry and the information industry, because CNN is involved in that merger, but it's even bigger than that, as Dre has uncovered in her piece, which is on Substack and linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy show. This is about the consolidation of multiple entities to create a massive, massive surveillance system that is tapping into Medicare, Medicaid, your health records, and also everything and anything that you do online through the back door. And it's all privately controlled, but, you know, taking in a lot of government money. It's terrible. We're going to get to that in a moment today on the Shannon Joy show. And then another piece that I linked in the show notes of today's show. This is from Patrick Wood. He is the founder, CEO of Technocracy. He knows the technocrats like the back of his hand. He's been reporting on them for 20 years. And this is his piece, The Gaza Technate. For the first time in history, technocracy is in plain view, and it is happening in Gaza. Major, mega deals, multi-million dollar, billion-dollar deals made by the Trump boys and all of their buddies in the Middle East. It is absolute grift. It is absolute plunder. And according to Patrick Wood, this is a huge story, perhaps the biggest in the 21st century. I'm going to try to get to this before we get to Sasha Latapova today. And this builds on two other pieces from Patrick over at Technocracy. The Gaza Gambit, Trump's USD1 and asset tokens will provide cradle-to-grave financial system. So it looks as if they're building the prototype in Gaza. Why anyone would go to Gaza and be ruled over by King Trump and all of his technocrat cronies, I have no idea why, but it is a complete surveillance system, and it is 100% you own nothing. There is no private ownership in the Gaza technate. And we'll look at that. This is what they would like to export, I think, to the United States of America and the rest of the world. And this is what they're doing on the back end in the shadows while they wage war in Iran. So we have to pay attention. I mean, a lot of this, there are many out there saying that so many of the headlines today are designed to distract us from the building of the infrastructure of the global technocratic surveillance and control system, complete with digital IDs and digital currencies. And again, the overarching theme is you own nothing. And that's the way they want it. And Trump is ushering this in while the clapping seals in the Republican Party and in conservative circles support him. It's insane. It's insane. So Mark the Regan, great to see you on the live chat here on Rumble. Lou Melcom is with us today. Good afternoon from Long Island. Han Soto 1, great to see you. B, my Valentine, great to see you as well. Chronozone 777. MAGA is stranded on Gilligan's Island. I don't disagree. Johnny Mac, CNY, I think you're from Central New York. Yes, gas is up. The price of everything is up. Yesterday, the markets were kind of quiet. People were expecting everything to fall apart after the weekend excursions by the United States military and Donald Trump. And didn't happen yesterday, but today it was a bloodbath. Everything is down. People are anticipating a forever war, that's the irony of all of this, right? If you weren't sufficiently gaslit before this by the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, right? What did he promise in the campaign of 2024? To fix the economy, a COVID reckoning. He didn't say we were going to get a COVID reckoning, but he brought in Bobby Kennedy Jr. in order to convince MAHA and the medical freedom movement that there would be a COVID reckoning, and the addressing of the horrifying problem of COVID-19 vaccine injury and death. He promised justice for the Epstein victims, to open up the Epstein files, all of it, betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, like right in our faces. Like, not only did he try to not release the Epstein files, he walked us through this ridiculous theater, right? This pageant of, bringing in the influencers to the Oval Office and Pam Bondi handing them empty binders that they waved around, like with a straight face, trying to convince us that they were actually releasing the Epstein files, which was a complete fraud. He went from there to actually trying to convince his base that the Epstein files and the Epstein scandal was actually a Democrat hoax. He did that for a little while. Finally, they were forced to release the Epstein files, and everything is falling apart. But it's just one gaslight after another. And if you weren't sufficiently gaslit before by this president, well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we just went from ending endless wars to more war forevermore and ever and ever and ever. Donald Trump is now posting out on Truth Social that not only will he not be ending endless wars, he is going to double, triple down on war forever. And this is what he wrote. And this is what I cannot fathom with his supporters. Like, how difficult must it be to be a Trump supporter? I would be on edge every single day. Like, how am I going to have to twist myself into a pretzel and deny everything I've ever said before in my life to my friends and family or on social media? How am I going to abandon every principle I've ever held, every position I've ever held? I mean, for those in conservative media who have to chase this president from one gaslighting event to another, I don't know how they do it. Thank you, Jesus, that I don't have to, right? Because as you all know, I called it 10 years ago and I never looked back. But these Trump supporters, he pushes this out yesterday on Truth Social. The United States munition stockpiles, I don't even know what we were talking about, munition stockpiles, but okay, at the medium upper level, medium grade, have never been higher or better, said President Trump. As was stated to me, we have virtually unlimited supply of these weapons. Wars now can be fought forever and very successfully using just these supplies, which are better than other countries' finest arms. Fortunately, I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so. The United States is stocked and ready to go and big and win big in forever wars. So this is complete inversion. It's 100% gaslighting. It's kind of a humiliation ritual because you have to be humiliated and an utter fool to accept this, to defend this, to try to explain this if you are in Trump's camp. And I think that more and more people are frankly just too embarrassed to stick with this guy. And this is why his poll numbers are tanking. This is why he is losing support. This is why you are seeing a growing chorus of influencers and commentators on the right coming out and calling out this president for this massive betrayal. You know, so as Trump vows to commit American military and resources for as long as it takes, for forevermore, we're going to be at war, according to Donald Trump, with no clear rationale as to why we got involved in it in the first place. All right, we're now getting different stories from Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Bibi Netanyahu, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in the Oval Office having a conference about the golden drapes behind him, okay? I mean, it's insane. There's no rationale as to why we got in the first place. There's no clear understanding of what the goals are and what the objectives are. And there's no clear timeline for exit. So this is what they want. This is the point. This is why I say that Donald Trump is the plunderer in chief, that he is driving this nation off a cliff. He is a drunken conductor on a flaming engine barreling 80 miles an hour down the tracks off a cliff. That's what we're dealing with. This is the state of the union today in the United States of America. And we just need to deal with this understanding that chaos is the name of the game. That is the status quo. That is the baseline for all analysis. I watch these reporters at the White House and on conservative media try to analyze what this president is doing. And there's no way to do it, right? We aren't privy to their plans. He's clearly controlled by higher powers, and they're going for all of it. And so really the play here is to hold on as best as we can. I'm on this roller coaster, white knuckled with all of you, hanging on for dear life. And we're going to try to survive. We're going to try to, with our heads on straight, understand as best we can what is going on so that we can protect ourselves and our families, so that we can protect our communities, so that we can rise up and resist from the bottom up, so we can be blessings to our neighbors and solidly reject what it is that they're doing. And there's much that we can do. As I mentioned earlier in the intro of the show, we are going for justice, and we should continue to go for justice. And these people absolutely need to be exposed. Shame on you, Donald Trump, and all of your betrayals. Let's get back to the live chat. I see that Sasha Latapova is with us, warming up in the bullpen here on the SJ Show, ready to talk about this latest piece. One betrayal after another as Kennedy turns from vaccines. MAHA allies see a betrayal. Stunning piece in the New York Times. Sasha Latapova was featured in this piece, and we're going to get to her in just a moment. And then at the end of the show, we are going to look at this Dre dossier. This is a very important piece here. It is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Just a quick recap of this. And I'll get into it in more detail tomorrow, along with the Patrick Wood piece on the Gaza technate. This is going to be our best example of the global technate, what they envision for the United States and the rest of the world as the technocrats and the Zionists align together to control everything. And so this is going to be, we need to dedicate probably 20 or 30 minutes to this. We'll do that tomorrow. But it is linked in the show notes of the SJ Show. But in terms of the Dre dossier, this happened yesterday. While everyone was looking at the war in the Middle East, very quietly, Larry Ellison of Oracle snagged a sweetheart deal in the fog of war. In this piece, The Merger That Needed a War from the Dre dossier, she outlines how a massive $111 billion media merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery, and this was announced on February 27, 2026. This is also the largest media deal in U.S. history, is not primarily about entertainment consolidation, but serves as a covert mechanism for the Oracle Corporation. This is led by Larry Ellison, who is attached at the hip with Donald Trump, one of the technocrats, tech bros that has seemingly taken over our country and this presidency, and his family, to massively expand surveillance and data control capabilities. So the merged entity combines major assets like HBO, Max, CNN, Warner Brothers, DC Comics, and others under David Ellison, who is Larry's son, who runs Paramount. But all of it runs on Oracle Cloud, which is an infrastructure that Paramount is already migrating towards. And in a tight 17-day window, so this was between February 28 and 27, or 20, I'm sorry, February 11 and 28, 2026, Oracle under Larry Ellison, with the blessing of the administration and very little oversight, has secured major federal contracts for hosting health data. That's Medicare, Medicaid, and ACA for 150 million plus Americans, Air Force cloud task orders, and the media merger itself. The US government now has given them authorization to run generative AI, including Grok from XAI, on classified federal data at top secret and DoD levels. So Dre frames this as building a unified surveillance apparatus, drawing a lot of parallels to Oracle's past data acquisitions and what they've done in the past. Now they have the blessing and the largesse of the United States government and taxpayers and access to everything. So there are no meaningful data firewalls. There's no oversight. Clearly massive conflicts of interest here. And there are no protections in place. This is quietly advancing during a major global war. So this happened yesterday. They announced it yesterday. Isn't that interesting? On the Monday after Donald Trump launched World War III. So this is a great piece by Dre on the Dre dossier, and she explains it in about a 20-minute video. I highly recommend you guys all take a look at it. We'll see if maybe we can get her on the show. She's been fantastic. I've used her on a couple of different items. I love that she also gives you guys a call to action, and she has put together a press release and information for senators. She is urging her readers and her followers to contact Senate Antitrust Subcommittee members immediately, because we can stop this. There's a shareholder vote to set for March 20th, 2026. And after that, it may be irreversible. So we'll keep an eye on this. But, you know, this is the larger theme as we move from one insane headline to another, one insane revelation in the Epstein files to the next. Quietly, underneath all of it, they are building a massive surveillance infrastructure. And the mission is to put us all on the digital food stamps and make sure that we are all digitally surveilled. It is a 21st century version of human slavery, and they're going for it. And so all of this plays in to their attempt to seize the human body through the medical industrial complex. This is why they are clinging so desperately to the right of the government to force vaccinate or force inject its citizens. And that is really at the heart of what the medical freedom community raged against during 2020 and 2021, the rollout of the COVID shots. And this was supposed to be addressed and alleviated. We were supposed to be moving for justice with the alliance between Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. That is what brought in the MAHA vote. That's what brought in the medical freedom community. Now, I wasn't convinced, and I told you all it was a farce. In fact, I advocated that Bobby Kennedy Jr. stay as far away as humanly possible from the Trump campaign, because we knew that, well, Trump was the guy that did it to us in the first place. And Bobby Kennedy Jr. was not going to influence Trump. It was going to be the Trump administration who influenced and made impotent Bobby Kennedy Jr. And I think that's what we have seen. And that is why this piece, as Kennedy turns from vaccines, MAHA allies see a betrayal, is so important. This piece featuring Toby Rogers, Jeffrey Tucker, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and of course, Sasha Latipova. We're going to hit that when we come back on the SJ show with Sasha. She's with me live in the Joy virtual studio. We're going to bring her on in just a couple moments to go over one betrayal after another, also to talk about the trial that is going to happen in just about a week in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. Again, we're going for justice, not just in the United States of America, but across the globe. And we're going to talk about other things as well. So I can't wait to bring Sasha in. Keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment on the SJ show. I want to invite you. I would love to meet you. I know that we have the website up for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We are meeting live here in Rochester, New York on March 21st for a full day. It is the 2026 fourth annual Summit for Truth and Wellness. I will be there live along with Dr. William Makis, a leader in cancer care using ivermectin, fembendazole, mebendazole. He has treated over 8,000 patients. He just got his medical license in the state of Florida. He is revolutionizing how cancers are treated. He is curing cancers. We're going to be talking about cancer care, cancer prevention with Dr. William Makis, and we're going to be joined by Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. She's going to be coming up from the great state of Texas to be with us live in Rochester, New York, and also, of course, the amazing Sasha Latipova, among other distinguished guests. We are about halfway to sell out on this summit. So we have about 5 weeks before the summit. I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go ahead and get those tickets because I do anticipate a full sellout. We have limited seating. It's going to be a beautiful morning of presentations, and then we are going to break and have a lovely luncheon afterwards. Plenty of time to meet and greet, to meet the speakers, fellowship, collaborate. It's just going to be an absolutely beautiful event. I love hosting it. And of course, all the proceeds, everything that we earn over the expenses to put the summit together will go to Americans for Healthcare Alternatives, an amazing organization that I have been working with for many years. Their mission is to provide an alternative to the medical industrial complex with information, seminars, and they are seeking to build a brick and mortar wellness center right here in Rochester, New York. We want to help them get closer to that goal. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend Shift Gold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used him as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock-solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust Shift Gold, and you can too. Go to shiftgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.shiftgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at Shift Gold. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. In just a moment, we're going to bring in the Sasha Latipova to discuss a big case in the Netherlands. We are going for justice. Individuals who were injured by the COVID-19 vaccines are coming together in a suit. They're going after Bill Gates, Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, and also Dutch officials. We're going to be covering that live from Amsterdam in just under a week. Cannot wait to talk to Sasha about that and the big piece in the New York Times. But I do want to say hello to some of you on the live chats because I'm loving the Substack chat. We are growing so fast on Substack. And man, I cannot believe that I have not utilized Substack more. It is such an elegant platform. And I'm really enjoying my time over there. And we are growing. I mean, exponential growth on Substack. I see you guys on the Substack live chat. From Big Dog, Trump humpers have been posting about everything other than Trump, Israel, Iran, and war. Anything that they can possibly talk about besides the betrayals, which is becoming harder and harder because it's just one betrayal after another. Epstein, betrayal. Iran, endless wars, betrayal. COVID-19 and the poison shot, betrayal. Fixing the economy, betrayal. One after another. I don't know how these people can justify their support of this president, but well, hey, the drapes are beautiful in the Oval Office, right? The golden drapes. This is what the guy stands up and talks about. Nothing at all. Gaslights his audience and his base and talks about the drapes. It's like Studio 54 threw up in the Oval Office. I mean, gold lame everywhere. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. Boxcar Philly on the Substack. Trump has become a huge disappointment. I mean, he has done a few good things, but this war thing, I just cannot stand. That crosses my line. And I agree with you. I think that Sasha Latypova is in agreement with us as well. She joins me today in the Joy Virtual Studio. Sasha, welcome to the show. So great to see you. You look beautiful as always. And yeah, two wild and crazy gals out in Amsterdam. Hopefully, we won't fall in the canal.
No, the plan is not to fall into the canal.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna make some trouble in Amsterdam. Why don't we start there? Let's talk about you've been spearheading this. It's a major case, very important case, and we're going for justice, right? We cannot allow the lies about what happened during the dark days of COVID and the lies about what happened with the rollout of the COVID shot, the bioweapon, the military involvement with this, fade away into obscurity, never to be discussed again. Like, we have to fight to keep this in the fore and to go for justice. And this is one of the reasons that I am so thankful for you and your work over on Substack. Make sure you guys are following and supporting Sasha and all of her work. You can find her at Due Diligence and Art on Substack. And so you've been working with Catherine Austin Fitts and Dr. Joe Sansone and Dr. Michael Yeadon, among others, Catherine Watt, on this case. Why don't you give us an overview of what's going to go down next week and why it matters?
Yeah, so this is actually, I'm going to publish an article on Friday, which mostly Catherine prepared. She made a very a good summary in English of all the cases. Yep. There are two cases, and with relevant materials also translated in English. So, and she has a very good explanation about it. So I advise people also to watch for my article on Friday, where I'm going to push it out on Substack. But to summarize, it's basically two cases with the total of the original 7 plaintiffs in the first case, and then 3 additional plaintiffs in the second case. And the first one is older, was filed in 23. Of those 7 plaintiffs, 1 already passed away from their injuries. And these are the people who were deceived by the Dutch government, the government officials who are named as defendants. And Albert Bourla and Bill Gates are also named as defendants. So the case alleges that people were lied to about both COVID being a pandemic or some sort of infectious illness. And then they were propagandized, driven into panic. Catherine has a very good terminology for it. She says there are multiple categories of harm. This is a civil procedure, alleging harm, and asking for compensation. And so the categories of harm that should be considered are both physical, the injuries from these shots, but importantly, the cognitive harm. And that's a very good term to describe what happened. So people were lied to globally, but we're talking about the Netherlands now. And people were misled by the government officials who then lied and said, oh, for this very, very dangerous, deadly virus, you can have this wonderful, safe and effective vaccine, which turned out the virus was a fake agenda, fake project with the government. And now with Epstein file revelations, we have confirmed all of this, that they pre-planned the pandemic for profit as a government project, invested into all these poison shots, and then propagandized the public, lied to the public, and continue doing so. People were driven to self-harm with these shots. And so that's the original case. And then additional case was, so additional plaintiffs came to the same law firm. And that's when we got involved, the group of experts. So they reached out to us and said, well, this is complex.
Right.
And we want to bring the experts to the court for a consultation with the court. And this is a process, a civil procedure available to all Dutch citizens, where the plaintiffs can ask the court to help them draft the case.
Right.
And for this, they can bring whoever they wish as an expert witness because of the complex technical aspects, technical, political, financial, and all other aspects which we are addressing. And so that's a normal procedure. This is available to every Dutch citizen. And in the lower court where this case was filed, the judge denied this, and they even denied open court procedure. They denied the press presence. So that was a big problem. And then Attorney Stassen, who is prosecuting this case, started appealing that denial, which happened last year. So this is the appeal, and we're going to the Court of Appeals in Amsterdam now, which allowed him to bring anyone he wishes on the plaintiff's side. So he then reached out and said, well, whoever from the expert group can come, please come. But we also, so people are, we're traveling long distance, and it's a big deal. So he said, well, why don't we have a press conference afterwards? Because and it's open to anybody participating. At which point, we invited the press. We, you agreed, yes, this is great, and we now have approximately, I believe, 30 people registered from press to come, and a lot of them will be also in the courtroom.
Amazing.
And then everyone will go after the court hearing, which is going to be on March 9th from 11 to around 4. And then at 5 p.m., we're going to go and have a press event. And that's going to last as long as we need to answer questions and do all the interviews and everything else. So that should be a big day. And I'm very excited for it and looking forward to being there and to being there with you.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be so important. And some of the testimony will be delivered by some of, the biggest voices and advocates during the dark days of COVID, people like Dr. Yeadon and Catherine Austin Fitz, Joe Sansone, I think is coming out as well. Who else is testifying? There's some other expert witnesses on that list.
So we are not expected necessarily to speak in court, but in person we will be there. And so we already provided, so myself and Catherine Watt already provided the written testimony to the court in the previous, so this was part of the appeal.
Yep.
And also all of us, the 5 of us, provided video recorded testimonies.
Great.
And they're all available on the Foundation Rechterprecht YouTube webpage, where they're providing materials both in English and in Dutch. Now, we are not expected necessarily to be speaking in court, but we're available there for judge to ask questions. And most importantly, we're available there for Peter Stassen, because it's a full day hearing, and we have a consultation room where in the breaks we discuss the case and discuss what's going on. That's the plan. Now, I'm going to be there in person. Catherine Austin Fitz is going to be in person, and Joe Sansone is going to be in person. Mike Eden had a different commitment, so he couldn't make it. It's likely that Catherine and Mike Eden will call in by Zoom into the court.
This is excellent, and we need to continue again to pursue these cases. And so I want to commend you. There are two areas that I wanted to dive in a little deeper with you, Sasha. I think it's very important, this idea of cognitive harm that Catherine Watt has now begun to describe. In terms of menticide, which is abuse, right? It's using techniques, psychological warfare, gaslighting, all of these elements to break people mentally and to put them in a position of such fear and anxiety and stress that they will literally do things to harm themselves or their children just to alleviate that stress and anxiety. And that's an area that I don't think that we have appropriately addressed in terms of what happened during COVID. I mean, the abuse that was leveled against the American people, and still today, and this is the issue. People are fearful about nuclear war. People are fearful about what they're seeing coming out of the Epstein files. And that was the second area I wanted to get in with you. People are fearful of their own government. I mean, there is so much stress and anxiety out there. One of their major tactics and techniques is the problem reaction solution. It's the Hegelian dialectic. It is weaponizing a crisis or creating a crisis in order to break people mentally so that we will accept horrifying or ridiculous or totalitarian things. And it's kind of everything in terms of their techniques and strategies. Your thoughts on that in context of what happened during COVID, but even what is happening today? How are you seeing this as being so detrimental to humanity in general?
Well, yeah, it is detrimental. It became really obvious during COVID, but it's not a new thing. Right. So the problem reaction solution is as old as dirt. It's been utilized by a lot of governments, not just the American, but all kinds of governments historically. It's a tactic. Now, during COVID, of course, it became very global, very obvious, and very coordinated. And now, because of the Epstein file revelations, we know that, for example, Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates and JP Morgan were discussing this project, what materialized as Project COVID, but they were calling it a pandemic project, Project Molecule. They had different names for it. And so they planned this as early as 2012 or even before that. And, it's clear that what they wanted to do is to set up this private cartel of pharmaceutical assets or whatever, the chemical assets, right? Vaccine assets.
Right.
Combined with, and that's, Bill Gates's pet peeve about the vaccines, and then pretend that all of this is some sort of a philanthropy. They even discussing how to avoid how to maintain the tax-free status and philanthropic status while doing this for-profit activity. So invest together in these assets, then coordinate. Jeffrey Epstein was discussing on emails, how can we officially bring CDC in and DOD, DARPA in? So they also coordinated all of this through DARPA. And then they set up all this pandemic preparedness project, obviously behind the scenes. They recruited some spokespeople for it, such as Colonel Matthew Hepburn, that I have been writing about quite a bit.
Really?
Who then became, the face of the pandemic preparedness and was going to TED Talks and saying how brilliant he is that he came up with this plan. But turns out it's actually a much deeper plan. And so all of this was set up years ahead of time. Then, of course, Catherine Watt meticulously traced all the legal law changes that they introduced in the United States and coordinated globally as well.
Right.
Such as the PrEP Act, all the amendments and modifications that they made, so that during this military declared emergencies,
Right.
such as they did with the Prep Act declaration, then they can, pump a whole bunch of money into the system immediately, the system that they all set up already, right? So they have this consortium, private consortium holding these assets, and then they make this global panic, appropriate military money immediately, pump it through the system as if it's competitive. So remember, there was like Operation Warp Speed, has 26 different companies in it. And then miraculously, Pfizer and Moderna become the winners. And miraculously, Bill Gates invested in both Pfizer and Moderna, and Pfizer in 2018, or rather Moderna in 2018 and Pfizer 2019, like months before they pulled the trigger. So this is as clear as it gets, that this is all pre-planned, coordinated. It's a project to profit massively off of the global panic, and then also implement a whole bunch of totalitarian control measures. So that became very obvious. But the thing is, US government has been using this tactic to change the laws, especially change the laws that relate to the vaccination mandates and removal of religious freedoms, removal of any objection to the overreach, any sort of protection of bodily autonomy. They've been using the same tactic all the time. And if you notice, they constantly propagandize, oh my God, in South Carolina, we have outbreak of measles, the largest outbreak of measles. And they're constantly faking these outbreaks. I even published, or republished rather, there's JB Handley Substack, and he published an account of a whistleblower from Oregon State, where they did the same exact thing. They faked a measles epidemic, literally faked it. They just produced a whole bunch of PR.
Unbelievable.
The PR agency produced a whole bunch of news articles claiming that there is a measles outbreak, in order to introduce a law that removed I believe, religious exemption.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did in New York State in Rockland County in 2018. It was one of the first, activation, like in terms of my getting active in state politics regarding vaccines, was because they did the exact same thing. It's the same template. And the fact that they're still using, I mean, this is why we cannot let them get away with it. This is why it's not good enough to say, oh, we'll give Bobby Kennedy time, give Donald Trump time, because they do it harder. Like if you let them get away with one thing, then they come back and they do it to you harder the next time.
Yeah, and Bobby Kennedy also knows this. Like he 100% knows this fact, that they have been faking these outbreaks and epidemics in order to change laws and in order to remove our constitutional rights. So for 20 years, when he was running Children's Health Defense, over how many, 15 years, he knew it. He's on record saying that they've been faking this stuff, because people know, people in this industry know. And when he became HHS secretary, what does he do? Oh, he goes and validates the BS. Oh, there's an outbreak in Texas of measles, or yeah, you should get vaccinated for measles now, says Bobby Kennedy, once he is the HHS secretary. So who switched Bobby Kennedy? When did that happen?
Right.
What body snatcher is there now?
I mean, no, seriously, like it is a complete 180. It is the opposite of his body of work over half of his lifetime. I mean, that is what is so astounding about the complete change in Bobby Kennedy Jr. And that is why this piece is important. I mean, finally, it looks as if those dissidents within the medical freedom community who are committed to holding Trump and Bobby Kennedy accountable for their promises in the election of 24, so that we could get a reckoning and truth telling regarding what happened during COVID, is so important. This piece in New York Times, as Kennedy turns from vaccines, MAHA allies see a betrayal, is so important. I want to get to that in a minute, but Sasha, your thoughts on one of the areas that keeps me up at night is this building of the infrastructure, the changing of the laws, the alliances, and all of the pre-planning that goes into creating the global financial infrastructures that will then profit from whatever the next scare tactic is, or that whatever the next crisis is. I mean, we are literally seeing that happen. This piece from the Dre dossier that I overviewed in the first segment of the Shannon Joy show, and then also Patrick Wood in his reporting on the Gaza technate, right? So this is essentially in Gaza, they raised the entire geographic location, it just bulldozed it to the ground.
Mhm.
And they're building in place of what they took out, I believe, the template for what they want every country to implement in 2030 and beyond. And that is a global technocratic dictatorship, right? With world leaders. Do you see, do you see the connections between what happened within the medical industrial complex and what is happening now? I can envision Donald Trump. I mean, what is the point of war in Iran? The point of war in Iran is to justify something horrifying that they're going to do to us. That's the
Mhm.
point. You don't
Mhm.
need any other point. Is it oil? Is it your allegiance to Israel, your support of Bibi? The point is crisis and chaos so that they can implement
Yeah.
this system. And all we need, Sasha, is one or two Islamic terror cells to wake up here in the US and do a little bit of Islamic terrorism. And then they can justify the digital ID, the military in the streets, the massive surveillance, and the shredding, the even greater shredding of our God-given natural and constitutional rights. Am I overstating that in your opinion, or is that a real
Well,
threat?
that's it. That seems exactly what they're doing, and they were not really hiding the plans. They were
Right.
talking about this openly, right, for quite some time. So it's clear that they need a gigantic war. They need the World War III to justify all sorts of things. Well, first of all, the fact that the U.S. government is bankrupt, and not just bankrupt, insolvent. Okay, so
Right.
we're beyond bankruptcy. Government still can't really go bankrupt, but it's insolvent.
Right.
And so it can't meet its obligations to the retirees, to whoever they promised what. The debt is mounting. The interest on the debt is unsupportable anymore. And so they need further and further crisis mode. And we're already under actually 48 national emergencies. People don't realize
Wow.
48 national emergencies, of which 11 were declared by Trump, including the COVID emergency. And that just tells you that they're so beyond repair, beyond anything, and they don't care. And it becomes obvious. So the behavior of Trump, the behavior of his cabinet is so blatant, so self-serving, and self-dealing and looting and Zionist. It was just all these horrific things that they do. It
Right.
literally just says, we don't care anymore. And
Hmm.
that's what they're doing. And that's why they're going to Iran, and they're going to, yes, and they're probably going to run some false flags. So people, please be vigilant, but they're probably going to run some false flags pretending they're Islamist terrorist cells in the US. To justify further tyranny, and create another problem reaction solution crisis, another nonsense. But yeah, that's exactly where they're going with all of this.
Well, and this is why I've often called Donald Trump the plunder president,
Mhm.
because it does seem as if they know this is happening. They know this is going down. They know that there is a good chance de-dollarization will happen. The world will remove themselves from the dollar in terms of it being the global reserve currency. And this country's not going to look the same. When
Mhm.
when when we do not have the backing of the global reserve currency in the dollar, everything changes. And I
Yeah.
think this president knows that, his people know that. And this is why I say, he's driving this country off a cliff. It seems to be on purpose, an acceleration of all of this so that they can then settle nicely into whatever the new world order is. And
Mhm.
Trump can run his little fiefdom in Gaza. Because
Mhm.
it looks like Trump is going to be the technate king of Gaza. That's what it looks like when you dive in to Patrick Wood's piece. I mean, the entire family is, it is complex, and the infrastructure is there. And you can see that how that's the payout, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
you play your role, Donald. In fact, Michael Yon is great. And I agree with Michael Yon And also Jeff Berwick, Jeff Berwick was on my program yesterday, and he said, you know, Donald Trump is the greatest actor in
Uh-huh.
human history in terms of the role that he has played, on behalf of the global Zionists. And you had a great, and in speaking of Zion, I want to address that if you can define that. You had a great show with Michael Yon, and also linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy show today. If you want to know everything you need to know about what's happening in Iran, Michael Yon did an interview with Sarah Westall. I linked that in the show notes of the SJ show today, where he explains, I mean, it's all about routes and resources and the creation of the new global order for the 21st century. I mean, that's what they're going for. That's what they want. We don't have to give that to them, right? We can maintain our freedom, our sovereignty, our God-given natural rights, and that's what we're going for. But, you know, in the discussion of Zionism, I really appreciated his definition there. I think that people get distracted. They think that, when you talk about Zionism, you're automatically talking about the Jewish faith or Israel.
Mhm.
And the way that Michael Yon explains it, Zionism is an ideology. It's
Yeah.
an evil ideology. They've linked up with the technocrats, which is another evil ideology, technocracy, which is transhumanism and massive surveillance and control using technology. So you merge those together. But Zionism really is, it's just an elevation of a ruling class over everyone else, ownership of everything. There are Christian Zionists, there are Jewish Zionists, there are Muslim Zionists, there are atheist Zionists. In fact, Michael Yon says that likely the largest subgroup within this Zionist umbrella are the Christian Zionists. But
Mhm.
it's a totalitarian ideology that I think deserves to be defined.
Mhm.
And you watch, global history and geopolitics. You're well versed in this, Sasha. How would you define it, and how would you define that order? Because I think there's a lot of confusion out there. They would
Mhm.
like to make this about being anti-Semitic. I
Yeah.
think that blaming Israel is probably just a sliver of the picture. If you're just going after Israel, you're missing the bigger and broader picture in my mind. But what is your understanding of this? Because I think that you can help a lot of people begin to understand who we're dealing with, the bad guys, and how
Yeah.
they're organized.
Yes, exactly. So I did speak with Michael about this. And yeah, you sent me a video from this Christian pastor, which I did listen to yesterday, and
Nice.
I agree with him on a lot of points. However, I wanted to actually even what he says in that video, which I appreciated, is this whole idea of Zionism has nothing to do with religion, really. It's a perversion of religion. It's a Talmudic version of Jewish faith, although it's not even like it has nothing to do with faith.
Mm.
It's Talmud is a document written by rabbis justifying doing bad stuff like raping children,
Mm.
murder, and lying, and
Right.
steal, like all the horrible things you can imagine.
Right.
There's this document that says how to weasel your way out of it and reason that this wasn't really bad, that it's
Oh.
actually it's a justification manual. It's like a propaganda manual,
Mm.
ancient one that's been written, and then there are various branches of this. It's not a religion. It's just a doctrine. It's a doctrine of how to lie, steal, and murder and get away with it by bringing people who would have a moral objection to it based on the religious beliefs, whichever. It's not, as I said, it's not about Judaism or Christianity. Anybody can say, well, actually most religions actually on fundamental principles converge on the same thing, is the authority of God over people, the necessity to do the right thing, the necessity to
Right.
preserve peace, the necessity to not commit these kinds of crimes. And so pretty much every religion has the same foundation, which is
Right.
a normal foundation. We all have innate feeling of justice. Humans
Right.
all have innate feeling of justice. It even is present in the animal world,
Right.
this innate feeling of justice. And so all the religions converge on this. Now, this group says, hey, we understand, but because we want to do business, or we want to dominate over this other culture, or we want to capture this territory, or whatever we want to do to further our agenda, we have this manual that tells us, well, under certain conditions and because of certain things, blah blah blah, you can get away with this particular wrongdoing.
Right.
That's what Zion, and that's fundamentally that's how Zionism is positioning itself. And now, ostensibly, they're claiming that 2,000 years ago, God chosen Israel and Jews and put them on, in charge of everyone, and now they're brainwashing the Christians, so over a long period of time, into the same Zionism belief, and saying that, well, you all need to bless Israel. And if you say something against it, then you are anti-Semitic. And so this whole discussion of this pastor was about that, and also quoting scripture and saying this is all baloney, and just a justification to get away with crimes. And but my position is we need to even preempt that discussion by saying United States is a secular constitutional republic. Okay. We have freedom of religion guaranteed by the First Amendment, which, by the way, makes Talmudic, Jewish Kabbalah, Club of Satan, all of it legal, protected by the Constitution.
Right.
So you guys can go pray to whoever you want to pray. But I am Christian Orthodox. I have nothing to do with this. I don't support Zionism. I will not send my children to die for your Israel. You can bless your Israel as much as you want, but I don't want to give you a penny. And we have been supporting you guys to the tune of trillions over a long period of time. So I have problems with all of this. I have problems with violating the Constitution, with dragging the religion into the secular state. With now Pete Hexes, who is the chief of the military, saying that Trump is chosen by Jesus to lead us to defend Israel because of the scripture, because of this Zionist nonsense. I am like, what part of the US Constitution makes us a religious Zionist state?
Right. Well, and in that respect, I mean, this has been the difficulty of navigating this topic, because I make everyone mad, right? The people who are actually anti-Semitic, or people who are actually racist, bigoted, horrifying people, okay, are going directly after people of faith, people who practice Judaism, people who practice Judaism in Israel, and they're vicious and monstrous and horrifying. I'll name one. Nick Fuentes is one, right? Like, I don't align with Nick Fuentes. He is a horrifying person, right? But I also don't ally with this knee-jerk, everything that Bibi Netanyahu does is okay, and everything that Israel does as a government is okay, because it violates my faith in a lot of ways, and it violates even my common sense. So there's this balance here that we need to navigate, and it's quite simple. But I think that Christians have been caught up in this. It's a bastardization of scripture. It's not true. I mean, if you read the Old Testament, okay, God was condemning Israel every other chapter. I mean, they could never
exactly. And it doesn't matter what happened 2,000 years ago. The modern state of Israel has nothing to do with what happened 2,000 years ago. And it's a long discussion, but there's no part of either Christian doctrine or the secular, constitutional republic that makes us obligated to pay huge amounts of money to Israel, to have all our like half of our Congress having dual citizenships and flying to pray to the wall every like weekend.
Not okay.
That's not okay. As a U.S. citizen, as part of this constitutional republic, I pay taxes. That's not part of our country. This is illegal. This is unconstitutional. This needs to stop.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. And this is why, if you guys want, Michael Young goes even deeper into like the creation of like Zion. I mean, this was a British creation. It's actually a lot of people appropriating Judaism. So they don't even believe in the faith, right? They just pretend. And you can see, I mean, it's really it's like a regurgitated Machiavellianism. It's an ends justify the means.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
dealing with the problem of the boundaries of religion. How does religion confine humanity so that we don't, rip each other's faces off? I mean, we do anyway, but there, that's what, religions have done is binds people with a set of principles and things that are right and wrong. And so it's the attempt to kind of twist that. And you see it with, with Christianity, everyone making an excuse for Donald Trump, right? Well, we have to get a bigger, meaner, badder, unconstitutional bully to take out the last bully we had in Biden, right? Like, and we should just reject all of that and live by our principles and hold everyone accountable to those principles, Democrats and Republicans, Christians and Jews, Muslims and atheists, all of them. I agree with you, Sasha. Let's pivot. Thank you for, going down that rabbit hole with me a little bit. I wanted to parse that out a bit. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to spend the rest of the time on this piece. MAHA is revolting. The medical freedom community has had enough. It is now, I don't know, what, 18 months into, no, not 18, like 16 months into the presidency, the Trump presidency, and we got nothing. We got nothing. We're going to talk about that in this piece in the New York Times, where Sasha Latipova was featured. As Kennedy turns from vaccines, MAHA allies see a betrayal. We're going to hit that when we come back right here to finish off the Shannon Joy Show. Keep it tuned. At 123.com/joy. Everything that you're going to need for preparation: generators, solar panels, Faraday products. If you want to disappear and protect yourself from the surveillance state, they have an entire line of amazing Faraday products called dark bags. They're always 10% off at the satellite phone store if you go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. The satellite phone store has supported the Shannon Joy Show for many years. They are amazing partners, and let's help the companies that help keep the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, make sure you use that promo code JOY and go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. I want to invite you. I would love to meet you. I know that we have the website up for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We are meeting live here in Rochester, New York on March 21st for a full day. It is the 2026 4th Annual Summit for Truth and Wellness. I will be there live along with Dr. William Makis, a leader in cancer care using ivermectin, fembendazole, membendazole. He has treated over 8,000 patients. He just got his medical license in the state of Florida. He is revolutionizing how cancers are treated. He is curing cancers. We're going to be talking about cancer care, cancer prevention with Dr. William Makis, and we're going to be joined by Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. She's going to be coming up from the great state of Texas to be with us live in Rochester, New York, and also, of course, the amazing Sasha Latipova, among other distinguished guests. We are about halfway to sell out on this summit. So we have about 5 weeks before the summit. I want to encourage all of you, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go ahead and get those tickets, because I do anticipate a full sellout. We have limited seating. It's going to be a beautiful morning of presentations, and then we are going to break and have a lovely luncheon afterwards. Plenty of time to meet and greet, to meet the speakers, fellowship, collaborate. It's just going to be an absolutely beautiful event. I love hosting it. And of course, all the proceeds, everything that we earn over the expenses to put the summit together will go to Americans for Healthcare Alternatives, an amazing organization that I have been working with for many years. Their mission is to provide an alternative to the medical industrial complex with, information, seminars, and they are seeking to build a brick and mortar wellness center right here in Rochester, New York. We want to help them get closer to that goal. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Today, we're joined by Sasha Latipova. Her Substack is Due Diligence and Art, and we are discussing bombshell piece in the New York Times. MAHA revolting against Bobby Kennedy Jr. As midterm elections approach, the health secretary is focusing on real food, and anger is rising among some of his supporters. Sasha Latipova featured in this piece. This is what she had to say. Sasha Latipova, whose work was cited in that petition and who was interviewed on Mr. Kennedy's podcast in 2022 and 23, criticized him for keeping what she saw as the most problematic vaccines on the childhood schedule. She also bemoaned his failure to revoke an emergency declaration that protects COVID vaccine makers from liability claims. After she published an open letter demanding to end the liability protections last year, she said Mr. Kennedy called her and spoke to her briefly. He said, "I know what you want me to do, but I have a president to report to," Ms. Latipova said in an interview. Sasha Latipova is with me today. Among others who were quoted, Jeffrey Tucker of Brownstone Institute, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and also Toby Rogers. Scathing piece, Sasha, against Bobby Kennedy Jr. Tell me all about it. And what do you think that says for the medical freedom community and where we're going?
Yeah, so I'm actually shocked that they published it. So this article was in the works for quite some time. Benjamin Mueller, who is the writer, he reached out to me several months ago, and he reached out to several others as part of his work on this piece. It was originally scheduled to be published over a month ago, but didn't. And this time he reached out, confirmed this quote, and confirmed a few other things and said, "Oh, we're planning to publish soon." And then of course the war in Iran started, and I thought, "Oh, there goes this piece. They're probably
right,
not."
right.
But lo and behold, they did publish. So as I said, I've talked to Benjamin several times, like an hour-long conversations. To give him credit and to give the New York Times credit, even though I think they're on the other side. I think they're propaganda. I think they're just as bought by pharma lobby as any other mainstream media or Trump administration itself. But to give him credit, he is one of the few journalists who actually read my work in detail, and I was surprised to hear that he read it, he understood it, he knew key points. He was specifically interested in the PrEP Act, and my main objective for myself with communicating with him was to urge New York Times to actually publish the words PrEP Act, which of course this piece didn't quite do, but what we've succeeded, and I think it's a major accomplishment, is that they actually mentioned the declaration, which is the PrEP Act declaration, and they actually linked to this declaration. Yeah. Which is a big deal, because this is the number one thing that both sides, the Democrats, the liberals, and the Republicans, they want to hide from the public, because they both profit from it massively. This underlies a gigantic extraction of wealth and destruction of human health that is ongoing with the COVID mRNA shots, and now the flu mRNA shots that they're going to approve, and all other mRNA shots, and the mRNA shots that they already distribute for animals and poisoning people's pets and also livestock. And so that it's such a massive profit center for them, because PrEP Act absolves manufacturers from any liability whatsoever. You can't even bring a suit. It says you preempt suit and liability, preempts every state law that might conflict, preempts any other law that might conflict. So this is their, no pun intended, trump card, okay? Right. They're playing this to the max. And so that's why my main goal was to implore Benjamin, and I believe genuinely wanted to put that into the piece, but of course the editors took it out. But we succeeded getting the link there. And so, I mean, we discussed many other things. Besides that, we talked about vaccines, we talked about financial incentives to vaccinate for the pediatricians, we talked about the schedule. So overall, I would say he demonstrated professionalism, demonstrated that he actually read and understood my material. Right. And I'm planning to stay in touch. Hopefully they will want to publish more about this. Now, I think what the piece itself and the fact that they did publish it shows that the Democrat lobby, which is behind the New York Times, is sensing that they're going to achieve victory in the midterms, and this is a piece to set it up to say,
Right.
look, a Trump administration is in disarray, especially the House part of it is in a total disarray, complete betrayal of their base, and a lot of people are upset, and so it's just hey, our enemies are fighting amongst themselves. That's the main point of it.
Right.
Now, I mean, can I blame them for being incorrect? No, it's correct.
Yeah,
it's factual.
Listen,
always is factual.
This is something that, and I learned this during COVID lockdowns, and I forget in what context it was, but there is a scripture in the Bible that goes along the lines of what the devil meant for evil, God can use for good. So, even though the New York Times, we know for the most part is a hostile entity, they were complicit in justifying the lockdowns of COVID-19. They were complicit in covering up all of this information that was at their fingertips during the lockdowns and during the rollout of the military bioweapons, the COVID shots, right? Despite all of that, it is still a paper of record. And it is still incredibly important that these words are being pushed out by this paper of record, especially the abuse of emergency declarations, Sasha, because I think you nailed it there. It's not just in the medical space where the abuse of emergency declaration has been expanding and accelerating over the past 10 years. As you mentioned, 11 of the past 48 emergency declarations have been issued by President Trump. In fact, we are now at war with Iran, meaning that they could declare an emergency in the interior of the U.S. at any moment for any reason, for some type of terror organizations. And we also see them declaring an emergency regarding artificial intelligence and the arms race for AI with China, expansion of that use. And so they're going to continue to use that in order to justify more and more abuses.
Yeah, and for example, the glyphosate.
I was just going to tell you the glyphosate. Yes, go.
The most recent, and I think that actually the straw that broke MAHA camel's back to some extent. I've noticed a lot of the sycophantic MAHA accounts went quiet after that.
Right.
Because this was the number one issue. I was actually less of panicking over glyphosate as a health agenda item.
Right.
And I was writing a bunch of, fairly balanced and scientific reviews about this issue. Now, on the MAHA side, it was all about food, healthy food. Oh my God, organic farming. We're just going to bring everything organic. We're going to ban glyphosate. This is such a massive issue. Cali Means himself, promoted it a million times, saying that, no, don't worry about vaccines. We're just going to fight glyphosate. Then what happens? Trump turns around and says, oh, it's a strategic national resource, this glyphosate thing. And you know why? Because they also want to issue a declaration and protect, because the glyphosate lobby is now saying, why? What are we, a red-headed stepchild?
That's right.
We want PrEP Act too.
Yes. Right. The pharmaceutical companies get complete liability protection. And so you could see all the chemical companies and the oil companies and every industry now is going to be like, what the heck here?
What the heck? Why are they the preferred lobby? We also pay a lot of money for lobbying, so we want the same preferences as well. And this is exactly, and Trump, of course, now I'm declaring it a national strategic reserve. And I was like, classic. This is
crazy. I mean, God bless the medical freedom community, though, in MAHA. Like, at least they had the self-respect to draw the line somewhere. I mean, you and I predicted this from the day Bobby Kennedy made his speech in the summer of 2024, spent the first 5 minutes talking about some rando Cali Means that no one had ever heard of. It turns out that Cali Means and Casey Means and Grady Means, the patriarch of the Means family, are all up in the military and medical industrial complex. They have drone patents. The guy has been in Washington, D.C., Grady Means, his entire life as a subcontractor and a contractor. He was I believe the attaché to Nelson Rockefeller. I kid you
Yeah,
not.
it was
That's great.
worked for
Grady
Nelson
means.
Rockefeller. Uh-huh.
And spawned Callie and Casey, who are now Casey means is going to be the Surgeon General.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, they've probably just deployed Susie Wiles in to be Trump's handler.
Uh-huh.
She's also, I mean, it is all a protection racket there. And you called it out. I called it out. We were right. Let's claim it, Sasha. I mean, sorry, not sorry, but someone
Yeah.
mentioned we have to, it was Annie in the break said we have to get better at ripping the band-aid off and cutting our losses. Like we are wasting too much time giving
Mhm.
these people rope and time and excuses and
Mhm.
our support, our approval when we just need to see the writing on the wall. I was saying in the break too, Sasha, I'm reading a book on poker,
Uh-huh.
right? And like you got to know when to cut your losses. I think everyone should read a book on
Yeah.
poker. I think poker is a great
Oh,
game.
send me the link. I need the reading for the
Oh,
airplane.
it's so good. It's so good. I love poker. It is my favorite game.
I know
And
nothing about poker, but you can teach me. But
I'll tell you all about it. Like philosophically, I just love the game of poker. So I'll tell you all about it. But essentially, like there is a strategy to cutting your losses.
Mhm.
Like you have to realize when the chips are down and you don't have the hand, that the betrayals are happening, that it is
Mhm.
time to move on because you're wasting time and resource and your own credibility. And this is where I mourn for so many of our colleagues in the medical freedom community who have lost their credibility now because they have tethered themselves to Donald Trump, namely Bobby Kennedy Jr. I
Mhm.
advocated against him doing that. I knew this was going to happen. And
Mhm.
now his life's work is in question because he has betrayed every one of his principles, every one of his positions, time
Mhm.
and time again. And now the wheels are falling off the jalopy. And
Uh-huh.
it's tragic.
It's absolutely tragic. I don't understand how it's worse, trashing your life's work like in this very public, very obvious manner,
Yes.
and telling everyone who trusted you, who fought hard for you, and telling them all, that just that they're nothing, that they're discarding them. So by the way,
Right.
even in this New York Times piece, which intersperses true information and actually very good writing with
It does.
advertisements, vaccines are safe and effective. But if you ignore those commercials, in fact, what is outlined there, so the piece starts with this person, Derek Wade. I'm sorry, Derek
Derek Wynn. Derek
Wynn.
Wynn. Yes.
Derek Wynn. So this is a 35-year-old military service member who was kicked out of the armed forces because he refused the COVID shot, lost everything, had to
Mm.
move in with his girlfriend's parents or something, and whom actually Kennedy made a piece in his campaign. Right, so he was talking about this person and the hardship and how unfair it was, and how horrible it was on the campaign trail, and then Derek Wynn goes by the wayside, completely discarded.
Right.
Same happened with Trista Martin. Trista Martin, the 18-year-old girl who was killed by a Pfizer shot.
Mm.
So I've met her parents. I've testified with them in Idaho. By the way, we finally have a bill I just published this morning. And I testified with them in a bunch of other state venues. And so there are pictures of them with Kennedy in all kinds of events. He's hugging them. He's like, "Oh my God, Trista, such a tragic story about a 18-year-old girl being killed by a vaccine." And then what happens? Oh, he forgot they existed. Immediately forgot they existed. The
Yeah.
pain of the parents, I cannot imagine. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine people being lied to so monstrously into their face. And then, of course, so he describes also that, so he goes through a couple of examples of like that. So how can you blame New York Times at this point? Well, they're actually describing the true facts. This is
Right.
exactly what happened. These people who Kennedy used to climb up the ladder
Mhm.
are now in the ditch. Okay,
Yeah.
and so is his career, so is his legacy. He will never have legacy. His only legacy is he's a liar.
Mm. It's true. It's true. And I think of all the people, and this is one of the reasons that I'm having a hard time letting go of this, Sasha. This is why I'm going to travel with you to Amsterdam. We're going to fight for COVID-19 vaccine victims. I did so many interviews in 20,000 in 2021 and 2022 of parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters and people who have were crushed by these COVID shots, people who lost loved ones the day of the shot. I mean, there are thousands of reports
Mhm.
into the VAERS system of people who died within hours of
No.
receiving the
Mhm.
COVID injections. We have vSafe data. We have VAERS data. We now have peer-reviewed published studies from across the globe that have been piling up from the McCullough Foundation and on Dr. Peter McCullough's website, reported by Nicholas Holcher, among others. We have the Pfizer data. I mean, it's all there. It's a mountain of evidence and a mountain of broken bodies. And you're right. Bobby Kennedy Jr. used that anguish. He used the pain. He used their stories to platform himself, to put him in
Yeah.
a position and proximity to power with the president of the United States of America, and has just betrayed them all.
Yeah, he betrayed them all. He
Oh,
betrayed, Grace Shara is another prominent case.
Scott's going to be on with me tomorrow. Scott Sharp is
Grace,
going to be on with me tomorrow.
oh yeah, so he just published the book. I wrote an
Yeah.
endorsement for his
Yes.
book, but it's an incredible tragedy. The
Yeah.
girl Grace, who was disabled, was murdered in the hospital with the COVID protocol in front of her parents, and Scott spent enormous amount of money, several years, trying to fight this through courts,
Yep.
only to have the jury deliberate after horrific multi-day hearing
Of
that
course.
was extremely hard to even listen to, because how heartbreaking it is. In 15 minutes, the jury returns and returns the verdict not guilty. So these doctors did nothing wrong. They murdered the girl in front of them. They actually gave her back to the parents, and somebody tied a bow on her body bag. Can you imagine? And this is the people that Kennedy used to climb to the office, to turn around and betray them all. So I can't, I don't have any words for this. I don't know what. And also in the New York Times, they also mention the statistic that today 20 million Americans, adults, received these poisonous mRNA shots. This is the most current ones, and they're saying several million children, but according to Dr. Mary Tyler Bowden, it's 7 million American children who were jabbed with these monstrous shots. So what did Kennedy deliver on? Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
They're about to lose the election, and I don't care. I really don't.
I think it's going to be good because they've been a distraction. They have obscured our mission, and this is the problem with sending our people into the belly of the beast when we know that there's going to be no reform in Washington, D.C. There is plenty we can do to resist from the outside in, at the local level, the state level, through the courts, through state legislation, through organization, through petitions, through international court cases like the one that you're involved with, Sasha, through peaceful non-compliance, civil disobedience, refusal to comply. You do that through organization because there is power in numbers. But when we're all waiting for Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy to save us and just sitting there, just waiting for them to come in like a white knight on a horse, then everything else is to the back of the bus, right? And all of those good and powerful things that we can do to actually achieve justice are now sidelined as we wait for these guys. And then these guys, not only do they not deliver, Sasha, but they actually make it worse. They come in with new liability protection for other industries, for chemical industries, for the AI industry. They do nothing. They obscure the truth, and they separate us then now in proximity from the event of the murder, right? So now we're how many years out from when the atrocity actually happened? That's on purpose. That's a tactic and a strategy to delay. And they aid and abet the bad guys in doing that. And so I think I cannot wait for them to lose, to be honest, because
Yeah.
they've been a detriment to our movement. And I think people just need to rip the Band-Aid off.
People need to walk away. I urge, walk away from MAHA. Turn around. Say, I don't support this anymore. This is the end of our relationship. And
Yep.
it's okay. It's totally okay. I think the people don't realize how much power we have in saying no. We as individuals,
Yeah.
the largest power we can exert is to say no. And say it loudly, be vocal, be respectful and civil. I do not support violence. I do not advocate for anything illegal. So, but within the constraints of legality and civility, we can powerfully say no, be critical, and demand that these people stop lying and deliver. And the minute they start lying, we recognize it and we don't give them, oh, just wait, just baby steps, unity. Oh my God, Susie Wiles is not letting Trump do this or Kennedy do this. I don't care. They're in charge of Susie Wiles.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of Susie Wiles.
Right.
They're in charge of who they select as their spokespeople. They're in charge. So by the way, Bobby Kennedy is going to spend Bobby Kennedy's budget, official budget, is about 5 times larger than the official defense budget.
Unbelievable.
Okay,
Unbelievable.
The DoD steals 10x more money, but on paper, Bobby Kennedy is financially more powerful than the Department of Defense. What is he spending those trillions on? Oh, the crayon coloring book of the food. Okay, so I'm, as an individual, as a human being, as a Christian, as a mother, as an intelligent human, I refuse to be treated like a retard. And I also don't buy that all these other stupid Americans, no, they're not stupid. Okay, I haven't met a single one who doesn't know, who needs a coloring book for the food.
That's right.
Not yet. I've been in this country for 30 years. I can criticize it, till cows come home, but I have not met a single individual in this country who doesn't know that Coca-Cola is bad for you.
Yeah.
And
it's
don't
insulting,
tell me
really.
that you need Kennedy spend all his time on this.
Oh, he's spending all his time on this to distract and obscure for what he is refusing and unwilling to do. And it's humiliating. We shouldn't be humiliated. We should just rip the Band-Aid off. And with that, congratulations, Sasha. This is an important piece. Again, features Dr. Mary Telly Bowden, Toby Rogers, Jeffrey Tucker, Brownstone Institute, among others. Very, very proud of all of you for contributing on this. And it is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. By the way, you guys can meet Sasha coming up on March 21st. March is a very busy month. March 21st.
I have a lot of travel.
Oh, it's so much travel. It's so much travel, but I'm so pumped. We are selling tickets like hotcakes for the Summit for Truth and Wellness, March 21st. It's a Saturday, day-long event. We're going to have a presentation in the morning. We're going to wrap up around 12:30, 12:45-ish and have a beautiful luncheon. So it's going to be a wonderful day. Sasha Latapova, Dr. Mary Telly Bowden will be there live, and we are featuring keynote speaker Dr. William Makis. He is curing cancers. Extraordinary service to humanity, combination of ivermectin, membendazole, fembendazole, diet, and other protocols. And he has treated successfully over 8,000 patients. And for that, the Canadian government is trying to put him in jail. Well, he's coming to Rochester, New York, along with Mary and Sasha and myself, and we want to meet all of you. We are going to sell out. I think there are probably less than 100 tickets left. And so if you guys want to come, you have to sign up right now. Go to shannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com. It is the only place for you to grab your tickets. It's a big banner right there. Head over to theshannonjoy.com and get those tickets. And Sasha, we can't wait to have you again. This is your second, or is this your third? This is your second.
Probably second. I think second.
Okay, this is your second. This is the 4th annual Summit for Truth and Wellness. So we've done a bunch of these. I think this one is going to be up there. Cancer's prevalent everywhere. Everyone's been poisoned. We need to know how to prevent and to treat. And we're going to learn that from Dr. Makis. So last minute, Sasha, how can people find you, support you, access your work, and any takeaways from our conversation?
Yeah, so my main platform today is Substack, although they censor me continuously and they remove my subscribers all the time.
Come on, Substack.
but I don't care. It's not going to stop me. So, please support my work on Substack. All my new articles I make available for free. Archive is for paid subscribers, although I unarchived some key pieces.
Okay.
And, or you can, I also have like buttons to make a one-time donation, buy me a coffee.
Buy our coffee. Come on. We need to be supported, like this is, we do as much as we can for charity, but there are bills to pay. So yeah. And you need resource, Sasha. I mean, the work that you're doing, again, I would say you are the most consistent guest on the SJ show for the past 3 years. I think I've had you on more than anyone. No, I'm serious. But you know why?
Yeah.
Because you're a sure thing. Like when everyone loses their minds and gets all political, I know I can go and find Sasha, and you will be there, consistent with your principles and your common sense every time. Like you don't go off the deep end. I really appreciate that. And let's reward her for that, guys. So make sure you support her over at Due Diligence and Art. You can buy her artwork there too.
Yes, yes, you can also do that.
Yeah.
Thank
By the way,
you.
I have Daniel in the Lion's Den that needs to go up. It's on my agenda.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at it. It's right there. I need to get it up. I will. I promise. It's gonna happen. But no, it's great. All right, Sasha, thank you so much for being with us. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Yeah, see you
Yeah.
soon.
I know. I'll see you in a few days out in Amsterdam. It's gonna be great. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to Sasha Latipova for all of her work and her diligence. You guys are amazing. CJP Rumble, our favorite guest. She's my favorite. Listen, I'm just gonna be honest. I have my favorites. And Sasha Latipova, she's also a blast. She's hilarious. She's fun. We've become friends, and I really appreciate all the work that she has done. I appreciate all of you as well. I appreciate Annie Cyrus for producing the show today. Everyone on Substack and Twitter and on the Rumble live chat. I'm keeping an eye on all of you. And yeah, Guitar Lily, dump the cruise poster and put up Sasha's art. Let me show it to you before here. Hold on. See if you guys can see it. We'll just go freestyle a little bit. This has been sitting here. I have been waiting. I've been asking Devastatingly Handsome Dr. Joy to put this up. And it's just there. I got to put lights on it. Is that spectacular or what? Isn't that amazing? It's Daniel in the Lion's Den. And I see it every day. I love her artwork. I have a lot of her artwork, guys. And you can get it on Due Diligence and Art. So this is going to go up at some point. We'll take Ted Cruz down. I leave Ted Cruz up in order to remind myself to never, ever worship a politician ever again. Ted Cruz was the last one. The last one where I suffered the white knight syndrome. And I thought that if only we elected Ted Cruz. I mean, you've seen what's happened to Ted Cruz. Let's be honest. Okay. So isn't it beautiful? Oh, just spectacular. And she's a beautiful artist. And yeah, I just love Sasha. So let's wrap up, though. It's time to go. You guys have a great day. Again, thank you to Annie for producing the show. Make sure that you support the Shannon Joy Show. Sign up for those emails, theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com. Go there today. Sign up for your email and also sign up for the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We will be back tomorrow, joined by Scott Shara. He has a new book on his experience during the dark days of COVID, the loss of his daughter, Grace, which we just talked about briefly today. We're going to welcome him into the Joy Virtual Studio tomorrow. Heartbreaking story, but we have to face this if we want to get to a reckoning and we want to achieve justice in this country. And I believe that we can. So thank you guys for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again on The Shannon Joy Show.